Assalamualaikum wabarakatuh, and a very good morning again. Thank you for staying on. I'm really delighted to see you here to listen to my talk. It is understandable that Phoebe was presenting from her thesis, but at my age there's no thesis to present anymore. That's a bit unfortunate. I can only rely on my experience. And this is an experience that spans something like 33 years in higher education. I've just reminded by my assistant, I've just reminded him to make sure that he takes about 4 or 5 photos, because immediately after the talk I have to WhatsApp to my wife. I realized at the age of 60 I'm even being monitored more than before. So I have to have evidence that I was doing something useful today. Because in order to get to this place this morning, she ironed my trousers, my shirt, and so on. The reason why I tell you all this to make sure that you know that I'm okay. Even though I may be making jokes about my wife, who won't be around, she has never listened to some of the sensitive comments that I make about her, but I'm perfectly okay with her. Datuk Satina was saying something about being in education and people telling you off and so on. Sometimes actually it's good to be told off. And I've been told off so many times by my wife at home. And she reminds me frequently, when I was the Vice Chancellor of the University of Malaya, that in the university there's a Vice Chancellor, but at home there's only a principal. And she was the principal of high school. And the most important lesson of life I've learned is that to have a very happy married life, keep quiet and listen. And that's the most golden truth about everything. So I'm fine even if I joke about my wife. Okay. Now, as I said, I'm going to touch on the subject of world ranking. I don't know how is your view about this ranking and so on. I'm quite sure that this is mixed and so on. But I think it's one of my job here to put things into the proper framework, into the proper way of thinking about this subject matter. And sometimes you'll be wondering whether a country like us should actually be competing in world ranking and so on. I am definitely one person who is crazy about universities participating in world ranking, because I find that because of that agenda, I think I have been able to help my institution before grow and get a lot of opportunities. Even though at one point of time when I brought these ideas into the University of Malaya, there were a lot of opposition groups there that is against it, giving various justifications. And I've even been dubbed as the Naib Chancellor yang gila ranking. But I'm perfectly fine with that. Because if you look at it, even now the STARA ranking, for ranking how many stars your institution should get, they even have a lot of these elements of ranking inside there already. So this is important. And secondly, I will show that in future, it is universities that can show performance in ranking that will end up getting more money from any source. And trust me, I know there are major funders outside there where those universities that has a reputation in ranking and so on are welcome to apply, whereas those who doesn't have any ranking will not be looked at all. And I think Sunway University is one institution that aspires to grow up in world prominence and so on. And I think now even Sunway University has a policy to push itself up in the world university ranking. Of course, Sunway University is still very new in this. They are building and so on, but I think they have the right attitude and the right way of thinking already. And my job is, of course, to keep on arguing in the Sunway University board what should be done in order to push up the university in ranking and so on. That's my job in the board, by the way. And the provost there is sitting down and recording everything, and he said he wants to use it against me in 2 days' time, which is in the board. Okay, let me say that I was in the University of Malaya over 2 periods of time. First was when I became a lecturer after my PhD. That was in 1982 up to 1996. Then I left for Multimedia University to become the president there up to year 2007, about 11 and a half years. Then I was brought back to the University of Malaya from November 2007 up to November 2013. So I had 2 periods of time when I was in the University of Malaya. In the initial years was about 14 and a half years. And later I came back as a Vice Chancellor for 5 years. Okay. When I became the Vice Chancellor of the University of Malaya, and when I was interviewed for the job, actually I didn't apply for the job, but I was called to attend an interview. The panel of 5 people asked me one question, and the question was this. He said, look, the University of Malaya was a premier university before. It was very well known and so on and so on. But as you know, it is already going down. And even in the local scenario, USM is already becoming more prominent than the University of Malaya. In fact, the University of Malaya and USM competed to become what is called the Apex University, but University of Malaya didn't even get it. What are you going to do to bring up the University of Malaya again? That was the question put to me. Okay, and of course I spent about 1 hour answering that question, and finally I got the job. When I went in, I say, how am I going to do things different and make it really impactful? Okay, and in life I always believe when you take a leadership position, you must gamble on certain things. Either you make it, or if you don't make it, you are gone. But I believe that in life, when you gamble certain things, if you have really considered it well, if you make it big. But if you are not prepared to gamble something, you just want to continue whatever people has done, people won't even remember you after that. I believe that. So when I went into this job, I said, I must do something different and bring UM back to become the premier university in Malaysia. And what better things can we do than to bring UM into higher up in the ranking table? That's the only thing. Push up UM so that it will be internationally gauged, and if UM is able to be ranked highest among all the local universities, yeah, that would be evidence. So I went in with the specific objective in my heart that I must transform the University of Malaya to become the highest ranked university in the whole of Malaysia. And when I look into this, obviously I have to get into competing, getting UM into competing in the league table. So I start off with the QS ranking. Then, you know, I gave them certain dates when we will be participating. Then World University ranking, then the Shanghai Jiao Tong University ranking, and of late there's another one, the US News ranking. Okay, actually the US News ranking, this story that came out 2 weeks ago, we didn't even know about it. Suddenly we are ranked, and our engineering faculty is ranked number 10 in the world. You know, US News ranking, they don't ask data from you, they find the data themselves, by the way. So it is entirely independent. All these other things, you have to submit data. Okay, so again, when I came in, you know, you tend to become panic, you know, when you come into an old institution where there are something like 400 full professors, 300 associate professors. You have a very strong union. The Academic Staff Association of University of Malaya is a union protected under the law. They can say anything about you, cannot say anything about them. Then the student union, the supporting staff union, and so on. But like everything else in life, go for it, fight it out, and see what happens after that. And actually, among the most difficult job is actually to go to the board meeting. I bet the Vice Chancellor here will testify to the fact that, you know, you have to prepare about 1 or 2 weeks ahead before a board meeting, because the board members can ask you anything, right? They can ask you anything under the sun. And the board is such a board where all of them are government appointed, by the way. Every single member of the board, so also with all the other public university board, are all appointed by the Minister of Higher Education. You see, okay? So, if you want to get anything done, you have to convince the board to agree with you, which is a very difficult thing. Most of the time, the board will never agree with you. Or, you just have to shout until they agree with you. Do you believe this theory? That you actually have to do a lot of shouting. The only thing is that people are, if I say this thing, you won't believe. But I actually have to shout a lot of times in the university board. Why? Because the chairman is like 80 years old. You know? The rest are representative of the Ministry of Finance, the representative of the Ministry of Higher Education, representative of the alumni lah, community lah, and they don't care, isn't it? You know. But here, I have been put on a job and I want to transform this university. What do I do? Betul tak? For them, well, the chairman could be 20 years as a chairman of the board. Who cares? He will never be blamed for anything, right? The one that will be blamed is the Vice Chancellor. So, my friend, whatever I'm telling you here is how I behave when I took over this job. From time to time, I actually have to shout and frighten the chairman of the board to the point that he agrees. So, which means my relationship with a lot of board members are not really that fantastic lah. Because I do things which it looks like I don't respect the chairman of the board. Is that correct? But I bet you a lot of university bosses will not dare to do that. So, if you want to do anything significant, I believe you have to put your stand, you have to use your guts and get things done and push them around. So, in order to go up in the ranking table, among the first thing is, hey, look guys, now I'm telling the whole academic community in something like 3,000 academic staff, we have to participate in ranking, we have to compete in world university ranking. Okay, openly explaining this. I visit each of the faculty and I start explaining what I want to do. Okay, and therefore to participate in ranking, we now have to do high quality research. We now have to start publishing your research work in the ISI journals. We must get citation. For promotion purposes, you have to have certain number of journal publication. You must have a certain age index, citation, and so on. Do you think the academics will be happy to hear this? When before this, there was really no criteria. There was really no criteria. I even published this set of criteria on how to become, what you need to be appointed as a lecturer, as a senior lecturer, as an associate professor, as a professor. I published that. You know? So, who do you think all the academics are happy with this announcement? What do you think? Can you guess? They say, fantastic! The Messiah has come. Do you think that was the reaction?
Some of them.
Yeah, some of them. And those some of them will be very quiet. And most of them, how will they react? Let me tell you some of the reaction. One, they say, no, this is too drastic. No, you can't apply this rule because in the arts we cannot use this. We don't have many journals that we can publish in. What is ISI? This is a Jewish product. You know, these are the Jews who want to make it difficult for us. Have you heard of that? Yeah, you know. Oh, we don't have money. People are not interested to do PhD in my area. These are the excuses that you get. And you keep on pushing. No, I've said this. Oh, that is a very difficult thing to tell, you know. The professors don't like to hear, you said it. They want everything to be decided by consensus. Bring it to the faculty meeting, let the faculty decide. Very democratic, right? But do you think they will agree to set all these criteria? No. It will never happen, right? So how? So, under these circumstances, you have to pray hard and look at which day you can push this agenda and set that day and just announce this is the new criteria. And then wait for the fire to come. Wait for the fire to come and see. And just be prepared for whatever outcome. Honestly, it is like that. Yes, there is some discussion. First of all, of course, we go around to all the faculties and explain what's the new criteria, this and that, this and that. After that, you set. Wow, the whole University of Malaya was set on fire, actually. They don't like the way I do, I'm autocratic, I'm crazy about ranking, and so on, and so on, and so on. They start writing to the Prime Minister, to the Minister of Higher Education, and I was told by the political secretary that there's a thick file on me. All sorts of things about me has gone to the Prime Minister and the Minister of Higher Education. But did anything happen to me? I'm still talking to you today, right? Should be okay, kan? But that is exactly what an academic leader running an institution has to face if you think you want to do anything great and change the course, right? And it is not easy, but I think any university, if you want to find a vice chancellor, a president or what, you must find people who has these guts. Okay, so I announced the criteria and I'm ready to face head on. Sir, but that was not the most sensitive, I tell you. That was not. There's something even more sensitive and people get even more crazy. And you know what is that? I start cutting academic staff salaries if they don't perform. Cutting the salaries. Can there be anything more sensitive than that? Cutting salaries, you know. If let's say now they're earning 6,000, if they didn't meet, start cutting this year, 200 every month. If next year they don't meet, additional 200, 400. What do you think is the reaction of the campus to this? Some of you are staring so solemnly at me. Would any one of you cut your staff salary? Cut, you know. I'm not saying that you don't give them increment, I say cut. Is it a good idea or not? Obviously, this will, after announcing this and after implementing that policy, that became one of the most difficult time of my life in UM. Why? Because the union took up a case against me. They even threatened me that I will take you to the court. The Academic Staff Association, by the way. Okay? And those that I cut particularly are those who has been sent abroad to do PhD and didn't complete it. Because when I entered the University of Malaya, the percentage of staff with PhD was only 63%. And yet here we are thinking about making UM a world-class university. In Harvard, in MIT, in Cambridge, it's 100%. Percentage of staff with PhD. And I still remember visiting one university in Brazil, Universitas das Campinas. That university in Brazil, 98% of the staff has PhD. But this so-called premier institution in Malaysia, the Institute of Malaya, has 63%. How do you correct this? And I suddenly discovered there were 400 to 500 staff who had done PhD and didn't complete. So what do you do about it? What do you do about these 400 or 500 staff who has been sent abroad to do PhD but didn't get their PhD? And some have been back for 15 years. Now let's talk about this problem. What can you do to solve this problem? You have been staring at me, sir. What would you do?
I would be too draconian, so I don't want to mention it.
Okay.
I would send them to work in palm oil plantation. At least pay back some of the money.
Okay. What do you think, sir? Knowing 400 or 500 staff who has been sponsored, came back after 3 or 4 years, didn't get their PhD. Which means the government has spent 500, 600,000 and didn't get it. What will you do, sir?
Ask him to do again.
What would you do?
Do local PhD. You know how to send them again, because when they go over, they bring the whole family there.
Whole family too. And I have one case now. My brother-in-law spent. He went to do PhD in Lancaster U. And then he said, "Oh, I want to watch football." So he stopped for a while now. He didn't go for the exam, watching football. After that, he stayed back for another 2 years.
So PhD in football.
Imagine he wasted so many steps.
So now people are beginning to talk, isn't it? But if you are the vice chancellor, what would you do?
Ask them to continue.
If they don't want?
Don't want.
Because their answer is this: well, in my offer letter, to be a lecturer, I only need a master's degree. The offer letter is stated as such.
But is there any contractual obligation when you send them overseas that there must be field filling which they have reimbursed?
Yes, but I went for my PhD. I didn't get it about 10 years ago. It's time barred already. You didn't take action against me. You get what I mean? This is a 10-year-old story. What would you do, sir? I'm training some of you to be the next president of Islamic University, by the way.
I want to believe that Donald Trump. I give you answer.
Okay, let's hear, Sir Donald, please. What would you do?
Quite tough issue. Let me think about it. 5 years to think about it.
I'll ask one more person. Anybody who wants to volunteer and answer to this question. Remembering, out of 3,000 staff, 500 didn't complete their PhD. And we have spent millions before. Sorry?
Cut the salary.
Very good. I gave the answer earlier, right?
He spotted the answer.
But that's really,
Yeah.
when they retire, I know someone that I know, she went to do her PhD, she didn't complete, she came back, but she opted for retirement. But when she retired, her gratuity was deducted. So they had to pay it to the government. But if I were the VC, as I said, if I was the head, first I might give them another chance to do it locally. And secondly, otherwise, deduct your salary, pay back.
Yeah. You see, when you implement a policy like this, which actually legally speaking, under the law, they are not wrong. Now what time barred is over, in order to be a lecturer, you only need a master's degree. So whatever, if you are going to cut their salary, you are actually breaking the law. But what I did, I actually cut their salary, regardless. And this was my condition. Look, by this date, either you show me your PhD scroll, or we will start cutting your salary. So, like 99% all their salary is cut, the union got into action. So that was a period when even the minister asked the chairman of the board to mediate between me and the union president. Mediate. So my face is all gone lah kan. But I have to stay on. I have to survive this crisis. If I fail, I'm gone. And the whole university will have no hope because nobody will do this. So I actually cut, but I gave this condition. When I cut, and if you still want to go and complete your PhD, tell me where you want to go, I'll pay for it. One. Secondly, once you are able to show me your PhD scroll, I'll pay back all the salary that is cut. I'll pay back. Even though the union is still making noise and so on, but a lot of the staff took the offer. And they actually say, okay, I need 6 more months to go back to Glasgow. You have to pay my bench fees. Okay, sign check, go. At the point I left the University of Malaya, 85% of the staff has a PhD in 5 years. And I think now it is 93% today. And the union didn't take me to court. I'm still alive and well. Okay, so in order to achieve this goal of going up in the ranking, you know you have to correct certain things. These are among the things that you must be brave enough to face and correct the things. You get what I mean? Okay, but it is very good because at the end of the day, a lot of them were able to get back their salary, and not only that, because when they went to do the PhD second time, they were able to publish a lot of papers, they even get promoted. So it was a very fine policy. Okay? But I knew all along that if I am taken to court by some of them, I will be in trouble. I know that. Okay? But, you know, if you are running a university, let's say for 5 years, you have to expect that at least there must be 10 court cases. You'll be taken to court for various issues. You believe that or not? Don't think that you will never be taken to court by anybody. I still remember at one time that a staff that I sacked actually took me to court and demanded 10 million compensation. 10 million ringgit. And at that point of time, I just had an appendicitis operation. When I saw the figure 10 million, I said, Registrar, please keep this letter. I'm not well, I can't even see the figures yet. You know. But I was sued 10 million, you know, for actually terminating a professor, a senior professor. So if you ask me, can we actually terminate a staff in the university? Can. But you must know how to do it. Actually, I must share this with you. I think in the University of Malaya, I terminated more than 100 staff. It so happened that I quote this case because this professor sued me 10 million. The rest didn't sue me. You know? So actually, you can actually terminate staff. But of course, you must have a very good reason. After that termination, you know what happened? That I have to go to the industrial court. I was taken to the industrial court. I was personally sued, and the university itself. You know, I went there, and you will not believe that the settlement is actually a very cheap settlement. He only needs 6 months' salary. You know, of course, I have my ways of tricking him out of the situation. You know, I keep telling him that actually the university doesn't agree to pay you anything. So I say, you mention your figure. This is, of course, after 3 hours in the labor court. I mean, with the arbitrator. Tell me what's your figure. Actually, I'm going to recommend whatever you ask me to recommend, but I tell you, the board is not in favor to pay anything. Give me 3 years. No way. 1 year, no way. 6 months, okay, I'll try. And then we shake hands and that's it, he left. But I still terminated the professor But of course, I think it has something to do with dishonest act you know. But still the court say, just settle out the board says that. So, ladies and gentlemen, the last 20 minutes from my opening, before I go to my actual slides, I want to tell you the story that if any one of you has any dream to push things up and so on, I think you must have guts to do some of these things. If not, you are theoretical. It will not happen. You know what I mean? And I think the failure of so many university leaders, presidents, vice chancellors, rectors or whatever, is because they don't have guts. Right or not? But Peter, don't worry, I have no ambition to be president of Sunway University or what. Not interested at all. Those days are behind me. But I'm just sharing experience that these are things that you must be able to do. You know, to come up with what you want to do and be brave to push the agenda through. My presentation will consist of two parts. The first part is about generally what's R&D globally and so on, and then something about ranking, and finally to the specific case about the University of Malaya. That's how I'm going to talk to you today. The faster we accept the fact that actually global world university ranking is here to stay and people are going to use it, even though people always want to ignore and deny it, the better it is. Because open up the prospectus of Harvard, MIT and so on, they list down there what their position in the world, you know, all of them. If it's not important, they wouldn't even mention about it, right? But they have. Why would the top universities, including Cambridge, Princeton, Stanford, even mention about ranking? Even though they will say all sorts of things, but at the end of the day, if you think it's not important, don't put it there. If you think it's not important, don't supply data. So that your name will not even appear, right? But they still supply. So it is important. And let me tell you, from my experience dealing with the University of Malaya, there's a lot of advantage when you are favorably ranked as an institution, because I get so many cases whereby you have foreign universities coming, they say, we must visit the University of Malaya, for example. I don't know, I said, no, the VC is not around and so on, the senior officers are not around, perhaps you can go and visit other universities. Still they don't want, they want to visit University of Malaya. And they will tell you that they want to do collaboration, it is the University of Malaya too. And what is interesting, my friend, when I start pushing this agenda, the result seems to be quite fast. And I can see that the ranking of UM starts coming up and up and up. And the university that was becoming like a threat to University of Malaya because they got the APEC status. I hope nobody from USM here. Are you from USM? Because I'm a good friend to all the vice chancellors. But I see that the vice chancellor of USM at that time was becoming nervous. You see, they got the APEC status. APEC means Accelerated Program to Excellence. They got it, but USM didn't get it. But now when we push the agenda and when the ranking of UM goes up, things is becoming to look different. But I say, look, giving the criteria, pushing the stuff is one thing, but if we want them to go to war, we need to give them the tools to fight the war, right? I cannot be pushing people to go into a war and I don't give them the weapons. Then I find a lot of casualties, right? So I said the most important thing that I must find for the whole campus is money. I must find money for them. Of course, UM gets the normal, 80 million a year as a research university, so also UPM and so on and so on. But I must get really big grant for UM, then we will fly. And this is where I come up with the idea to frighten the minister. I told the minister, sir, this is a listing of very, very important projects that UM wants to do, and it will push the ranking to the top 100. If you give us this money, and here is a bill of 1 billion ringgit, I'm asking for the minister, Khalid Nordin. This is a bill for 1 billion ringgit. Give me this bill and I promise you within 3 years, UCM Malaya will get into the top 100. Is it a good promise, you think? I promise you, will get into the top 100, but give me this 1 billion ringgit. Because the equipment is old, we don't have enough research assistant, we don't have enough good collaboration and so on and so on. Give me, and I promise you within 3 years, will get to the top 100. Did he give me the money or not? And did get to the top 100 or not? I want you all to guess this. Here is a list of projects. I told him we have vetted, our committees have done their job. Give us, we know we will go up very fast. I need 1 billion ringgit from the government, and I promise you, top 100 in 3 years. Did we get the 1 billion ringgit, and did we get into the top 100 or not? I want you all to guess. I didn't get both. I get half. Or to be more accurate, 60%. The University of Malaya got 1 of 600 million ringgit. That is the biggest in the history of in all the universities in Malaysia, 600 million. Okay, so towards the end of my term, 5 years as BC, did get into the top 100 or not? No.
Only the engineering.
No. But the minister has forgotten, isn't it? I promised you something, but the minister has changed. And towards the end, it was Jasmon who was the minister. But if Khalid Nordin had remained as the minister and he actually remind me, look, you promised me, how come it's not there? I am prepared to resign. But what is most important at that point of time, suddenly has got 600 million ringgit for what is called the high impact research project in which no other universities can get, which the APEC University also didn't get. Which the APEC University until today is crying for money. So don't you think it's a good strategy? So those of you who want to be president or what, this is one trick lah, I can teach you. Promise something big, ask for something big. And you know, before the delivery date, you have some other appointment somewhere. But what does the 600 million do to The ranking keeps going up. And the latest position in the world is 114. Whether can continue to rise or not, I don't know. Because after I left, the next Vice Chancellor was preparing another bill for 1 billion also. And it is called High Impact Research Application number 2. But I'm gone, I don't know. Of course, now nobody gets any more money, isn't it? Gets very little money. But I used that trick and I got the money. And with the money, and we gave everybody, and some of these professors who are here also can testify how much money they have got from the system. And everybody was happy. They did high quality research, and I will show you figures, the impact of this high impact research budget, what it has done to And I think inside the system, was able to produce the so-called highly cited researcher and so on. By the way, that gentleman there, Professor Saidul, was from He is one of 10 people in this country who is given the title highly cited researcher. When this business of highly cited researcher came out, there were only 3. has 1, Professor Saidul, UKM has 1, and USM has 1. Recently, there was an event in the ministry, there was 10. And actually, out of the 10, 4 is from actually. And what is interesting thing, out of the 4, all are from engineering. And isn't that interesting that everybody is from engineering, the highly cited researcher? So I'm telling you. And all of them has got high impact research money. So this is very, very important to get money for your staff. You can't be pushing people to do this and that without giving them the money. That's why one of the things I want to really remind owners of university and so on, you can push your staff up to a point, but give them the tools to do the job. And I will say it to anybody. If you cannot give them the money, then don't own a university. Because I really believe that the real principle, the fundamental principle of giving licenses to any company or individual must be on the basis that they don't know what to do with their money. Not to all these businessmen who think that they can make money out of owning institution. Please remember, only give university licenses, college licenses to people who doesn't know what to do with their money, right? The sure way to lose your money is to own a university license. At one time, it used to be a very good thing. The first few companies who own colleges and universities all made tons of money, but now no more. And some big corporation which has a construction business agriculture business and even education business all wants to sell off their license, because education business is one business which will waste a lot of money. So a lot of people think that it's nice to own a university license, but the cost is high, man. Okay. So coming back to this ranking, it has been benefited me in my job to push to get big research grant by giving the excuse of ranking. Okay. And of course, we have many countries now. If a university from Africa contacts the Vice Chancellor and you happen to be the Vice Chancellor and he wants to collaborate with you, what is the first thing you will check about the university? Ranking. Because if you don't know, I don't know, University of, some funny name, University of Timbuktu, let's say. At least University of Timbuktu exists, by the way. Contacts you and wants to collaborate you in this and that, what would you do? The first thing you do, because you don't know them, you size them up. Get some statistic about that university, right? And definitely you want to know the ranking. And if suddenly you read, in this area they are top 50, I think you will not delay your invitation, right? Please come. But if you see everything unranked, what you will do is you ask your director of international relations, you tell them they can come, but I won't be around on that day. Right or not? So you see how the impact of ranking is. And not only that, I can ascertain the fact that the Dean of Engineering UM is a very busy man. Why? Because so many companies want to come and talk to him. Why? All this ranking business, why? Because UM Engineering is ranked top 10 in the world in the US News and top 35 in this ranking, in the QS ranking, top 35. All other faculties in Malaysia is lower than that. So you have to recognize that, how come UM Engineering in top 10 is not believable lah? There must be something wrong somewhere. But it's a fact. We don't submit data. That's their finding. And they list down their criteria. There is something like 15 criteria, by the way. Including they have publication of textbooks and so on inside there. Which is not so easy, is it? So please, maybe a lot don't want to admit the importance of ranking, but it has been useful to me anyway. And when it comes to R&D and so on, a lot of countries are investing more and more money in R&D. And it would be a very serious mistake if the government of Malaysia does not consider this matter very seriously. Because at the end of the day, if we want to talk about the digital age you want to compete in automation in AI and so on, you have to put in more money. If you are not prepared to put in more money, we are going to lose the competition. And you are going to need more people in science and technology and to be doing all this. So please have no doubt that the future is putting in more money for research, innovation, patenting, commercialization, and so on. And not only that, actually, this Asia region, especially Southeast Asia and the Far East, people are working really hard. People are really working hard. They are getting a lot of money and they are working very hard. And that's why I think the faster that the institution in Malaysia realize this fact, the better it is. You know, that if we want to stay in the competition, we must put in more money and we must set higher and higher. The bar must be pushed higher. That is the only way. If there are still institutions that has got some other ideas, we are going to lose. We are going to lose. You know, and I think this is the message from my PhD student Phoebe Tan. You know, and for these things to happen, we need drivers, people who push these ideas and brave enough to keep talking about it. Right? And it is interesting if you look at it that actually 30, 40 years ago, China was lagging behind the US in almost everything. But today, in many aspects of our activity and so on, China is already leading the US. And things are made worse for the US with a president like Donald Trump. I mean, this is a fact. It's not me just talking about it, because it seems that Donald Trump, he is not sure what he really wants to do, actually. He's like a businessman doing the job, right? He doesn't have a steady mind. The rational basis sometimes is not there and things like that, you know. And he doesn't seem to be willing to address some of the real issues more than the peripheral issues and so on. And because of that, China is growing and China is being seen to be in the leadership position today, especially with a very firm, rational leader like Xi Jinping. You know, you may like him, you may not like him, but at the end of the day, China is growing. And I think in the next 50 years, it's definitely the China era. You know, and the US is, if not careful, the US will slip. You know, so this is a fact, and we live in a region where China's influence is very important. China likes Malaysia, you all know that, or not? China likes Malaysia. Yesterday somebody was in my office, he's a Chinese national, and he asked me, how can I be a professor in UM? I said, I'm not in position to answer that question anymore. But he said, yeah, it's a nice country, I want to be here, and I want to bring this industry to this country. Do you have the money? Oh, I have the money, no problem. It's a Chinese professor telling me this. You know, and he specifically told me, I'm going to set up these big labs in Sabah, in Kuantan, and in Malacca. He already told me. So there are people there who, prominent people, this is somebody prominent in China, and who wants to come and put money in this country, actually. You know? And when he's talking about that, he's talking about investing in facility in R&D. And he has no problem to put hundreds of millions inside that, because this is nothing to China. So you know, you see the opportunity that can come. And he wants to have a partner in Malaysia, and he said, it must be University of Malaya. He doesn't talk about other universities. You see? So this, I tell you, this is happening now. So China's influence is very strong in this region, in this country, and so on, and we have to live to live and stand, and how to react to all this, how to collaborate, how to harness the full potential of this sort of relationship. You know, we cannot be in denial stage and so on. You know, but of course it must be something that benefits everybody lah. Cannot be one way, kan? You know. And again, the issue of more authorship of papers, more research findings, all shifting towards the east. So this is the trend now, okay? Now, before I get into highly cited research and so on, a few graphs about world contribution to journal publication. This is in 2011. Now it's 2017. A lot has changed, but I didn't have time to update my slide. So, in 2011, the US produces the most number of journal publications. Second was China, but I believe it is now China already. China has overtaken US in terms of the number of publications. You know? And where is Malaysia? Here. What is Malaysia compared to the US? Very far, isn't it? Alright? But still it is listed there lah. And who is closest to us? Well, South Africa there, Singapore there, and so on. But this is a really tough graph to follow lah kan, you know. Next, another important indicator is this called citation per document, per publication. And Malaysia is here. These are behind us, so India, Egypt and so on. That means per publication they get lesser citation lah, per paper publication. And those countries here, whenever they publish, they on average they get more publication. In other words, the quality lah, you know. And why this is important? Because when it comes to ranking and so on, citation is given big marks, you know. So we have to improve not only in terms of the number of research that we do, we have to improve on the quality of the research we do and the papers that we publish. That is the conclusion. And here it is interesting, I got this graph, comparison between some Islamic countries. Turkey is extremely well, doing very well. And Malaysia is here. Okay, this is Malaysia, rather flat. But this is up to 2003. The situation must have improved. Okay, but you see, Turkey, Egypt, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and so on. So again, yes, while we have gone up into ranking and so on, but we have to be watchful that actually we are not the leader among the Islamic countries in terms of publication and so on. And here we compile the number of citations from this period, you know, as example. But again, this is data in 2005. Now, this slide was produced when I was VC. The idea is to frighten the academic community in UM, you know, to tell them how far behind we are. So, if you look at it, this is ISI citation. Harvard University produces 1.7 million publication for the year 2001 to 2005. UM produces 8,000 only. Very, very far, right? So, why are universities top universities like Harvard, MIT, Cambridge so far ahead and we are so little? But by the way, by this time, I'm very sure you will find some of the China universities here. Because China in the last 10-15 years, they have been pumping a lot of money to their universities and setting very high standards. Okay? But just to give you some idea how far behind Malaysia is, you know. So if you take University of Malaya, which is the best, it's only 8,000 compared to 1.7 million for over that period. Very, very far. And when it comes to ranking, we have to compete and produce more citation from our research. Okay? Okay, the highly cited researcher. Why is this important? And as I mentioned just now, Professor Saidul, which migrated from the University of Malaya to Sunway University. Actually, Sunway University has been lucky to get him. Why? Well, to get this title, highly cited researcher, you must be publishing papers where it is the top 1% in your group. In the ISI Web of Science classification, there are 22 fields of study. Okay? And out of these 22, you will be compared within your group. So I suppose Prof. Saidul Rahman, I think, is in the area of materials or whatever. So Prof. Saidul Rahman has been able to publish papers where it is among the top 1% of all the papers in that group. Okay, that's why he got the title of highly cited researcher. Top 1%. Is it easy to do or not, you think? Which means when you publish your paper in your favorite journal or whatever, okay, so they collect all the papers in that particular group. It could be energy, it could be materials, it could be economics or whatever. So all the papers in that, they take the top 1% in terms of citation. Which means it's pretty tough to get that title, right? Why is it important that we have this kind of people? Well, if you are able to produce highly cited papers, this means that you are a real producer of good work. That's what it means. Cannot mean anything else. Because you are the top 1%. So if Sunway University wants to beat Harvard, I think you have to buy some players. Let's get about 10 more highly cited researchers here. I think we have to suggest this to the Vice Chancellor here. You get 10 highly cited researchers, offer them very big salaries here, give them all the facilities here, and then give them high KPIs. Every year you must have one paper in the highly cited group. Give them that kind of one. You see how fast Sunway will and it will beat the University of Malaya very fast also. You know, running university is like buying football players. Isn't it? Obviously you want to buy the best players in your football club, right? To score the goals, when you are able to, your ranking goes up, you score many goals, you earn more money at the end of the day, right? Same thing. So if you are an institution that's got 10 highly cited researchers, the president will be a very busy man here. Why? Everybody wants to come here. They want to study here, they want to work with you, and not only that, the companies want to give you money. They will come here, oh, I want to fund this project. I think I have this 10 million, I want to fund this, to do this, to solve this particular industrial problem in my business. I'm prepared to pay for it. Okay? So, if you are running the university, buy players. It's a very good idea, I think, in order to accelerate your rise. And not only that, the highly cited researcher who is able to produce highly cited papers must have his own network. It's impossible to be a highly cited researcher without just being yourself. You must have a network globally. One. Secondly, you must have a team of very brilliant students under you. If not, you won't be able to do it, right? So you see, if you bring one such player, the highly cited researcher here, he brings a lot of things here also. Sunway has been very lucky, you know. But that is the way it is going to be, you know. So I put this slide in order to make you understand what is a highly cited researcher. Now, there is a new term, but this is not frequently used, hot papers. Highly cited paper is the top 1%. The hot papers is the top 0.1%. Hot papers. You know? This is even harder lah kan, isn't it? You know? Obviously, someone who has been able to produce hot papers must have been a highly cited researcher anyway. Okay? This is 0.1% in the particular field. Okay? So this is another category, but it's not frequently spoken of. I think If you have one person who has been able to publish a hot paper, that one is another superstar lah. Okay. And I will show you some real photos of real superstars in a minute. But by the way, there are a total of 10 million papers published in 11,000 journals of the ISI cited papers. Okay, 11,000 journals, 10 million papers published over 10 years. Okay, in 22 fields actually. Okay, and out of that, in 2017, there are 3,000 individuals that are called highly cited. So throughout the world, there are only 3,300 individuals in this category. And Malaysia has been able to produce 10 so far. Okay? And this categorization and so on is not done by University of what? It is Thomson Reuters themselves who produced this list independently. Okay? And there are 130,000 highly cited papers produced by 900 institutions, but out of that, 3,300 individuals are highly cited. But once you are a highly cited researcher, you may not stay there long if you don't keep on publishing good papers, because some other people will beat you one day. Okay? But nevertheless, to be a highly cited researcher is a very special person, you know. And this is just to show you the most cited paper in the world. And it is interesting that the highest cited paper in the world in history, this paper was published in 1951, I wasn't born yet, has a total citation of actually 300,000, you know. Oh, I didn't put the figure. Okay, it is a chemistry paper. This is the title of the paper. And these chaps, Lowry, Rosenbrock, Farr, and Randall, I don't know from which university they are, but whoever has that, have this stuff in the university is a bonus lah. You don't have to do anything, you get citation every year. Okay, because this paper, published in 1951, is still getting citation today. So actually, if you want to play the ranking game, find a highly cited researcher, one, or find some really bright spark who can really publish. And after that, when he leaves also, because you know, inside here, your name will be attached to a particular address institution, you continue to get the citation automatically. All right? So this is how you continue to get citation even though this is an event long past. All right? One example of a superstar. So look at this guy. He's in computer science. He has a total of 39,000 citation. How old is he, you think? Still young, right? I'm quite sure he's younger than me. Okay, he has an age index of 84. That 39,000 publication, actually, you know, him alone, the number of citation, you can put about 6 or 7 public universities in Malaysia. Still cannot beat him. Take a collection of universities in Malaysia, of course, UM and the research universities already out of this, because if you add up UM citation, it's already quite good now. But the rest of the institutions in Malaysia, put them all together, still cannot beat him. 39,000 students by just one man. So obviously, Stanford University is really reaping the benefit of just one man like this. So the real issue, well, these are 3 publications, you know. For this particular publication, he has 5,535 publications. By the way, this is actually 3 years ago, I think. By now, this should have increased. This particular publication here gives him 2,107 citation, and this one gives you 1,834 citation. Just one man. I'm sure there is a long list, but with just 3 publications, just how much citation is he getting? And not only that, just imagine Stanford University for a long, long time, people continue to cite him, will continue to get citation. So can you all see that if you really want to push your university to be ranked and so on, you must look for people like this, right or not? You must look for people of the caliber of Boneh lah. In fact, you have 2 or 3 Boneh is enough, right? You know, but how to produce a Boneh here? It's not easy, right? Okay. The only thing is that, of course, in computer science, there's no such thing as a Nobel Prize for computer science. But you know, people like this, if they had been in a field where there is a Nobel Prize, he could be the contenders to get the prize anyway. So these are examples of research superstars that we should be looking at. Okay. And here, these are the most brilliant of the most brilliant in the world. These are people who has got multiple hot papers. Remember, a hot paper is in the top 0.1% in your field. And these are people who has got a few of the hot papers. And the most brilliant is this lady here. You know, Stacy Gabriel from MIT. A very simple looking lady, right? Not complicated, and she is the #1 in the world in terms of, she has 25 hot papers. So this is really something very, very incredible, very outstanding, and having a person like this professor in the system will make sure that nobody can ever beat Harvard lah for a long, long time. Because her work, the hot paper will keep on producing citations for many, many, many years to come. So this is why actually it's so hard to challenge Harvard, MIT, Cambridge, and so on. You understand now why. Now, are there anybody from Asia? You can be sure there's nobody from Malaysia lah, who can produce a hot paper, okay? Okay, but if you see here, all the faces except this one, this is from NTU, Professor David Lowe. He has 19. So this explains why NTU has suddenly shot up, and not only that, they are now giving very big challenge to NUS. They will soon be the #1 in Asia. NUS is having a headache. Why? Because of people like him. Right? So this explains why, you know, once you have got an ecosystem that can produce people who are highly cited, who has hot papers and so on, is going to be very tough for the rest. Okay? So this chap is from NUS. Actually, he comes from China, but he has emigrated to Singapore and doing his work there. And his area is in chemistry and materials. Imagine he has 19 hot papers. And another one is this, where's that chap? There's one from China. Oh, this Nanyang also. Yeah, 16. Okay. So Nanyang Technological University is an institution where I think it will be #1 very soon lah. All because of people like this. So here I'm trying to illustrate the kind of champions that we should be developing in our system lah. You know, because you have this, then these are the people, even if they have left, will make sure you get the citation. All right. And in terms of share of highly cited researcher, #1 in the world, Harvard University has got 84. Okay, MIT has got 27 highly cited researcher. And Malaysia, USM currently has 3, UPM 1, UKM 2, UM has 2, But Uniten and Sunway, these two gentlemen were from UM. So UM has lost two to Uniten and to Sunway. But all these came from UM actually. So what is wrong with UM? Right? Something must have gone terribly wrong in UM, right? Maybe we have to ask the professors from UM why they left. But I think they don't want to be recorded, is it? But, you know, if you actually lost such an asset, you really have to look back at yourself and ask, why did these people leave? When these are the people who actually is going to help you a lot. You see? Right or not? Prof. Saido, why did you leave UM? I'm not going to tell the VC that, don't worry.
Sunway has more conducive environment and people like you here. I'll be asking a question later on.
Okay. But it is really, really unfortunate. Actually, UM has produced the most, 4 actually, but they have left. This is why sometimes I worry when you know you are not focused, you lose things, you know. And this is just for your information. There are, you see, normally the highly cited researcher is in a particular field, but there are 132 highly cited researchers where they are in 2 fields. There are 20 that are in 3 fields, and there are 2 that are in 4 fields. That means in different fields. These 2 gentlemen here, they are really, really supermen. They do research in so many areas and they become highly cited. You know, it's like their brain is 100 times bigger than us, right? This is what it means. Oh, sorry. And in terms of a country's share of highly cited researcher, obviously US, okay, UK, Germany, and so on. But I think this also has changed. I think China has got to number 2, if I'm not mistaken now. All right. Next, the fields. So if you really want to produce a lot of citation, you must have areas which deals with this. Clinical medicine, chemistry, plant animal science, biochemistry, and so on. This area produce a lot of citations. Okay? This is just for your information. The game changer. Now, let's look at what happens in UM and why suddenly engineering rose. Okay? Okay. This I listed here are some of the things that actually has changed the whole landscape in the University of Malaya. First, standard academic performance target. In other words, this is a published document that tells you if you want to get promotion to professor, this is what you must have. If you want to become associate professor, this is what you must have in different faculties. And inside there, it includes how many ISI papers you must have, how much citation you must have, what is your H index, okay? How many PhD students you must have supervised, how many international collaboration, how much money have you brought for your research. Those are all inside the performance targets. And not only that, how much you must produce every year in order to get an increment and things like that lah. So this is the first most important document, and we declare it to the whole university. A lot of people advise me not to do it, but I say do it, publish it. Why? So that people will not complain, so that it is more transparent. That is the whole idea, you know. Because a lot of people argue the fact that once you declare it, it's very hard to manage. But it works well for us, and from time to time, we keep on increasing the bar. If you want to be a professor 5 years ago, 15, now you need 25, let's say. And so on and so on. Okay? And that's for you to fight another battle lah when you push up the thing. So you must create this and you announce to the whole university and face whatever noise that will come from it. Second, academic icon and bright spark. Academic icon, these are prominent academics around the world, for example, Nobel laureates. So when we got this high impact research budget, we actually imported 7 Nobel laureates to work with us. They don't want to come to UM, but they don't mind coming to UM maybe twice a year, spend a week each time they come, things like that. Okay, in the particular area we want to develop. So we actually, and the fees that we have to pay varies from Nobel laureate to Nobel laureate. There is a Nobel laureate, you know, when he comes to UM, per day you have to pay him 11,000 ringgit. Per day. So if he comes for a week, you know how much you have to spend. But if you really want brainy people to come, you have to pay. Right, Anand? Of course, this doesn't include their hotel, their transport and so on. And not only that, this person that we have to pay so much, actually it was worth it. You know why? Because this guy, when he comes, he sleeps in the lab. He actually sleeps on the floor. This Nobel laureate that came from Australia, he will work with his with the professor from UM and so on. He actually sleeps on the floor. Have you seen this before? So if you are looking for a Nobel laureate to come or highly cited researcher, test them sleeping on the floor, whether they can test. That is, do you know that the modern concept of laboratories and so on is that if they are tired, they just sleep there. They don't have to, oh, I'll go back to my room, to my office, to my hostel, no. So when you build new labs and so on, you must have spaces for people to sleep, you know. You know, you must not have spaces where, no, this is only to do research or this is only for lecture. No. If they are sleepy, let them go and sleep. If they want coffee, go to the back and drink. Do you know this? So this is the new concept where they don't have to go home by car 3 kilometers away in order to rest. They sleep in the lab, like what this professor does. At the point when we hired this one, we were still transforming UM to have spaces to sleep. But this, to me, this professor is incredible. He just put a sheet of a mat and he sleeps on the floor. So is it worth paying him 11,000 a day? Right? But I think it's not worth it paying some academics in our university who wants everything to be clean, neat, everything to be there before he does any work. Right? So I think we need to have a different way of looking and assessing academics now. We need people who can really get on the job. Okay? And the bright spark. Who are the bright spark? So we have a policy in the University of Malaya whereby if your first degree is CGPA 3.7 out of 4, automatic scholarship. Come back and do PhD, everything we pay. But CGPA 3.7 out of 4 in any field. So we have a system whereby, you know, you graduate 3.7, there's a scholarship waiting for you to do masters and PhD. Is this a good policy or not? Good, right? That's how you increase the PhD numbers within the system. This is the Bright Spark project. Now this particular unit lonjakan pencapaian akademik, what is it? This is that unit that chase people who has failed their PhD. When I created this, I was thinking, who am I going to appoint as the director? And his job is to chase about 500 academic staff. What sort of person do you think we should put on the job? To go and look for these people who has failed their PhD and to encourage them, to give new life to them and to get them back on the job of getting their PhD and publishing. What sort of character you think we should put? Can I get some suggestion? What do you think? Should we put a Nobel laureate there? Definitely not, right? So what kind of character did I appoint for this job? Believe me, when I appointed this first person to do the job, Actually, he died on the job. The person died. But at that time, I was not the VC anymore. I think he was so exhausted. When I appointed him, everybody said, this is the biggest mistake of your life. This is not the person you should have appointed. But what kind of person did I appoint to do the job? What do you think, sir?
Negotiator.
Pushing people, no more negotiate. Do it. That's it.
Someone who didn't finish his PhD.
Yes, it was someone who didn't finish his PhD and who has left his PhD for 10 years. But eventually he got it. Through his own realization, he got it. I put him on the job. And I think it worked out fine because he was able to hunt everybody who doesn't have a PhD and get their requirements, what you need to do to resume your PhD, and so on and so on. But unfortunately he died. But he was just the perfect character to chase people and monitor people.
At that time, did he get back his PhD already?
Oh yeah. When I became VC, I think about 6 months later, he got his PhD through his own initiative. But he has left his PhD for 10 years. But finally he got it. Then I appointed him on the job. I was deciding on 2 characters. One is a super professor. Another is this guy. The super professor, you don't have to talk. He has supervised like 30 PhD. He has tons of ISI papers and so on. And this guy who didn't complete his PhD. I went for this guy. And he was right. And interestingly, now when he started chasing people and tell them to get their PhD to publish ISI, he started publishing a lot of ISI. At the point he died, he could have been a professor anyway. But he died of a heart attack at home. So this is, you need to push them. And then the scholarly publishing, you see, because in university with 3,000 academic staff, some of them, well, a very significant number cannot write well in English, cannot speak English. They say, my field is Bahasa Melayu. I publish paper in journal Bahasa Melayu. How you expect me to write in English? So you force them and you read the paper that they write in English, you can't even understand. So you have to create many units that actually help them to improve their English and how to formulate a paper suitable for a British journal and things like that. So you have to set up 3 or 4 units like this across the whole university, because you will find a lot of people, even though they are already academics and so on, but their English is terrible. You can't even understand what they're talking sometimes if they speak in English. The 3 most difficult and challenging faculty in this regard are 3. 1, the faculty of arts, because the faculty arts consists of literature, linguistics and all, which not everybody is good in English. Second, the Academy Pengajian Melayu, the Academy of Malay Studies. And these are among the faculties which have a lot of problems. You say, look, come on, if we do this, that's the end of Bahasa Melayu. Right? So, sir, if you become the Vice Chancellor, will you push them or not? Okay? And the other one is, another difficult one is the Academy of Islamic Studies. These academies are actually full-fledged faculties. Academy Pengajian Melayu has something like 40 academic staff. Academy of Malay Studies maybe 60. But they have been publishing in their journal in Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and so on. Now you tell them, start publishing in the Oxford Journal of Islamic Studies. You think they can do it? I think they will go take up swords against you, right? Easier to do than to publish. So these are the challenges. In a lot of the academic staff from these 2 Academies, their English is not so good. You know, they have never written scholarly journals at the level of ISI and so on, and now you're forcing them. So do you think you can push them? Anybody thinks that you can push? You will become the what do you call it? The sacrificial lamb. They will slaughter you. I still remember in the Academy of Malay Studies, when I pushed them to do this, there was a big demonstration. And when I visited, all of them put up banners, all saying that I am anti-Bahasa Melayu, I am not helping them, I am trying to kill them, I am trying to close them. But interestingly, at the end, after about 2 or 3 years this policy was on, suddenly you get 1, 2, 3, getting publication into the English journals. And then I say, look at this. How come this guy could do it? And then the noise start going down, and they are beginning to accept it. But I tell you, this was the hardest. How do you get a professor in Bahasa Melayu publishing in some British journals on linguistics, for example? It's not easy. But as a university, you must get everybody to do it. You cannot say, oh, these 2 faculties are exempted. You cannot. So these are some of the most sensitive things that I have to do, isn't it? Of course, the high impact research budget is one. Increase international exchanges. This is very, very important, and I'm very sure Prof. Saidul has a lot of international contacts, and these are the things that will keep on making him important and so on. This, I set up special unit to help people to become more entrepreneurial. I even have a policy whereby if any academic staff wants to start a business, go ahead. Just tell us what business, just declare how would you spend time for your teaching, research, for your business. Go ahead and start your business. Even if they want to start a mamak shop, go ahead. No problem. Would you dare to set a policy like that here? Because if you make it, you become rich, that's good. Right, Anna? Maybe we don't have to entertain your demand for increase in salary, right? Right? But if you fail, if you go bankrupt, that's your problem. But please declare to university how you will spend time in each of these activities. That's all. So actually the best policy, to be honest with you, you must encourage your academic staff to go into business. And the failure of the current system in Malaysia is because we expect academics to be just doing teaching research. That is the failure. Because if you have taught the young lecturers from the beginning, hey, look, do all this, including if you want to set up a company, go ahead. I think we won't have so much trouble trying to find money for the university, to be honest with you. Right, Anna? And you will be surprised that some of these academics are actually millionaires, quietly. Do you believe that? I've seen my friend who are millionaires. And when I actually found out about him, what he has been doing, he actually has a business and making a few million a year. But he doesn't declare that for fear that he will be caught, you see. And there are some academics, I wouldn't say all, there are some academics who actually doesn't need the university salary because their outside income is more. You think these are good people or not? I know of academics where they are doing online business and making good money. And you'll be surprised what they're selling online. They're selling children nappies, baby food. You believe that? And why are the professors in some way asking for more salary? I tell you, I know for a fact, I know somebody who is a very senior academic selling nappies, selling baby food, selling women's clothing. And where does he get the supply of all this? China. So once in a while he will fly to China every 3 months to get the next consignment. And what he gets is more than his salary. Prof, so please don't ask me what business to go into to make more money. Huh? If you ask me that, I'll get this person to come and give a talk. To do online business. You like this idea that we tell the academic, go ahead and do business. Is it a good idea or not? Will it actually bring down the institution? What do you think? Tell me if you are not convinced about this. And I know this particular academic who is selling nappies and so on, making money. He is publishing. He is supervising PhD student. I think 5, I think. He's publishing ISI journals. He is getting research grant. And in between, when there's no lecture, he goes off to his shop quietly to pack, to send to Post Laju. He has a shop where he stores all these things. Do you want to stop this or what? If you look in every cell, his teaching is fine. Evaluation is fine. He has research grant. What else you want to complain? Right? So I really believe if if I'm president again, I will allow do whatever you want as long as it's not illegal lah. You know what I mean? I know some of the young academics staring at my face, but the reality today, there are people actually who are quietly doing all this and making good money. But recently I met this particular chap. He comes to me, I have a problem now, he said. The income tax department is after me. I have not declared my tax for all these years, he said. Now they are after me, and the income tax department is telling me to show all the income. So he's thinking how to solve this problem. But I think this is a good problem, isn't it? So, ladies and gentlemen, I think the point is, I think we must create a system where it's a liberal system. And if after some point of time he gets so much money from that and he wants to leave, I think it's good. Even if he wants to leave, it's good. You know why? Because this is one chap who will think back after 20 years, it is this institution that has allowed me to do all this, and I'm making big money. And now I'll give back. I'll create an endowment for this university. So we must create a system that allows that. But I think some of you may think that this is funny because, how can they do their research? How can they teach? Not true. Not true at all. Because the real performers, they can do many things at one time. And I know for a fact that this guy is supervising 5 PhD students. He is giving masters of, master's lectures. He goes at night to give the lectures. And not only that, his teaching is fine. He has research grant. And he's doing the online business. Selling the basic of things. Women's clothing, children's nappies. Good idea, no? And maybe before we bring anybody to work in Sunway, we tell them, look, in the next 1 year, I want you to open an online business. I don't care what you sell. Make sure that your income from that business is higher than your salary. Good idea, not? Because I think sometimes some of these ideas may work out very well anyway. Because at the end of the day, if as a professor he gets what? 18,000, and suddenly with this online business, his monthly income is 50,000. Do you think he will be a miserable professor or very happy professor? Very happy professor, right?
Motivated.
Sorry? Motivated, yeah. Because he's not this 18,000 ringgit professor per month, but he's a 50,000 ringgit professor per month. And somebody earning 50,000 quietly, you don't even realize that they're earning that, they must be a very happy person, right? So you must think it in that way. And of course, we have monetary reward for quality research. I actually pay, if somebody can publish ISI Tier 1 journal paper, they get 6,000 ringgit. If they publish Tier 2, I think, I don't know, 3,000 or 2,000, something like that. We actually give monetary reward for publishing papers. Okay? And this money is given to them for their pocket money. But I think now it may have been withdrawn because UM doesn't have much money anymore. You know? But we actually encourage them to publish by doing that. Okay. This is the bright spark, and we were able to increase our postgraduate numbers, and I will give you a slide on engineering where we have been able to push it up very fast. And academic econ, we brought in 7 Nobel laureates into UM. Okay. These are some of the Nobel laureate faces. Okay. These are 3 of the Nobel laureates. Now they have 7. Okay. One of them is the one who sleeps on the floor, but I cannot tell you which one. Okay. All right. And obviously, when you have a Nobel laureate in your system, your paper is easier to publish. People want to visit your lab more often. You will attract more postgraduate students and so on. Yeah. And of course, more collaboration internationally. So, by the way, if you really want to be ranked well, you must not just be thinking of US, Canada, UK, Australia. No, you must go all over the world because other people can evaluate you, including Africa, South America, and so on. Okay? Well, I visited many countries and did collaboration, exchange of students, and so on. Yeah? So, this is the history of the QS ranking for the University of Malaya. By the way, in 2004, was ranked 89. That was the best, right? 89 in the world. Already top 100, right? But unfortunately, it was wrong data. So, this part you cannot count. So, wrongly sent the data. I don't know why. Maybe the Vice Chancellor was a bit sleepy at that time. Kan? So this is totally out. But here are all valid after that. So, so in 2005, it was about 190, 170, and so on. It was slipping. I came in here, and the new policies all pushed the university upwards. All those things that I told you I implemented has caused the graph to keep on going up. Currently, it's at 114 in 2017. Okay, the University of Malaya. And hopefully, the Vice Chancellor can carry on the momentum and pass into the top 100. But, you see, I know some of you, the senior ones, must have graduated from the University of Malaya. And a lot of you will be saying, oh, was great at one time, we produced a lot of leaders, and so on, right? People always have this perception. And some even say, well, during the time of the third Vice Chancellor, we have very outstanding graduates, alumni, and so on. Is this statement true or not? During the time of the third Vice Chancellor, it was somewhere here. There's no ranking. This particular one is the 6th Vice Chancellor. Yeah. So the third Vice Chancellor was here. But it was those era where people said, great, we produce a lot of great alumni, we produce ministers, the quality of the student was great, and so on. But are these statements true or not? Well, my comment is this. We never know. The was never ranked anyway. The first one was at this point, but that was also wrong. But this point when people say there were very high quality graduates and so on, this was the time when the population of University of Malaya was about 6,000, the student population. Today is close to 30,000. Okay? And even if you look at the statistic at this point of time, how many of the staff has PhD? It's only 30%, I think. So it cannot be compared. So a lot of people has this impression that the past was really great. We are not sure. But after that, here, we have all the measurements, the real measurements. So if you ask me, it's hard to know at that point of time, but the population in the university was small. At that point of time, at least 30% of the faculty was not in existence yet. The academic Penyiaran Melayu and so on was not in existence yet. By adding academic Penyiaran Melayu, the publication will have a problem. But of course, you have to change all this. Okay, but nevertheless, with that policy, with that high impact research budget, is on the rise anyway. This I want to tell you what that policy has been able to do for the university. This is the latest. This is as of 31st October. The publication in the ISI or Web of Science between the 5 research universities in Malaysia. This is the University of Malaya. The next best is this color, which is UPM. And then USM. By the way, don't look at this. All this is falling. It's not falling because we are still at that point of time. Because you know, when you update the database and so on, some papers have not come into print and so on. Okay, so just ignore this part. But as we progress further, the graph will go on further because then we will have fully cataloged it. We will know how many journals, how many papers was published. So has been on a upward trajectory, and the other universities is here. You see what the high impact research budget and all the policies have done to the University of Malaya. So this is real data. This is from the Web of Science. Okay. So what's your comment by looking? Yes, sir.
I'm an old graduate of the University of Malaya.
Okay.
But when I went to the University of Malaya in the mid-50s, the Vice Chancellor was Sir Sidney King, who was a foremost economist, and he went on to be the director of the London School of Economics. That's a very interesting study that has just come out a few years ago by a lady called, she specializes in ranking on university, ranking in the world university ranking. It's by a lady called Amada Woodhull. She has analyzed the top universities, 200 universities in the world. And she comes to a very interesting conclusion. It's a classic study, and she's now done much more work on ranking of institutions worldwide. It comes with a very interesting conclusion that for universities to be world ranked, they must be manned by top academics who must be mentors of academics. And nobody who's a commercial man, which LSE tried, Ashcroft, and had to send him off because he couldn't run the London School of Economics. The London School is top university. That they have to be academic mentors, and they must be top-class academics themselves. So you take Harvard, for example. From the time I've seen the statistics of Harvard's ranking, 1921, it has always remained the first 2 or 3. And of course, this ranking came out in 2004. Your QS ranking is one of the most subjective rankings. It is by no chance a ranking comparable to Times and also to Taisong, whatever it is.
Shanghai Yaotong.
Yeah, okay, sorry. So you have a major problem there. The problem is that if you depend on the QS ranking, which is a very subjective ranking, which is 40% of the sort of percentage
Academic reputation.
And this is very subjective. And there's another point. You say that good for University of Malaya's engineering faculty to be the world's top 4. I have been, and you have been, I know that, to the IITs of India. Do you know what they are? They produce the world's best engineers. Do you think that our university engineering faculty is as good as the IITs?
Okay, is that your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So this data that I put is published data. I didn't.
Yes, I know.
I didn't work it out myself lah. IIT also participates in the QS also participates in the Times Education and also Shanghai Jiao. They all participate. Okay, but what we see today, these are the results. Okay. If you pointed out the first part whereby that study was done and you must need academics who mentor. You see, we have to understand one thing. We know that in Malaysia, the government only dares to appoint a Malay to be the Vice Chancellor. No one has dared to put a non-Malay yet. Why is this the reason? But in Singapore, they brought a chap in the Nobel Committee to be the president of NTU. Can you do that in Malaysia?
Subramaniam is one of the top scientists in the world. He's an IIT graduate.
Sure. But I'm just trying to compare Malaysia and Singapore, whereby in Singapore, the president of NTU, where you have this hot paper and so on, came from that Nobel Committee. And he was appointed the president there. I think he's a Swedish, I think.
No, the Swedish is gone. Now the president of IIT, NTU is Suresh Subra.
Yes, there was a change recently.
Who was president of Carnegie Mellon.
Fine. Can we do all that in Malaysia now? That was the point I'm trying to make. Can you actually do this in Malaysia now or not?
Before election, no.
Even after election.
They're going to charge him for sedition for talking about it.
Which one?
Just mentioning it now.
No.
I think it's okay. Talk about it. Why
No.
No, it is a fact in NTU that when that Swedish man came, the ranking began to change. Okay? But I think our scenario is not the same everywhere. You know, in Malaysia, in UK, in Harvard or what, kan, you know. But I think the point about all this is that given all these difficulties and challenges, how do we push up? Right or not? You must work within that kind of environment. You know what I mean? Okay? This is what I'm trying to say. That given all these various constraints and so on, how do we push up an institution and still gets into some recognition globally lah? This is the whole point that I'm trying to say. You know, it is easy for some countries to put the best in whatever sense, but I think in some countries it's not possible. You get what I mean? But at the end of the day, we must look for the best people given the constraint and still perform. This is what I'm trying to say. But because and a lot of these measures that you take involve risks from time to time. What will happen if you do this or if you do that? But coming back to your point about what that person was doing and so on, the situations are not the same. Given the first two vice chancellors of UM was actually white, then third was Nkwazis and so on and so on. So the scenario is quite different. But we live in an era where whether we like it or not, we are forced to participate. And by participating, UM has been able to get some privileges. Get a lot of money, has been able to rise in the ranking, and so on, and so on, and so on. You know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. But we do not live in an environment where we are free to do anything we want. That you have to understand, sir. Okay? But okay, that is the publication. Next graph is the citation. And again, UM has done very well. The one where I color with the brown background is means that it is the university with the highest citation for that particular year. So you look at it, from 2009 until 2017, UM has got the highest citation across the board lah. Okay, which is fine lah. At one point of time and somewhere in this period, if you look at the number of times cited, USM was already leading. But after 2011, UM has got back. Again, to show how high impact research with the facilities and the money and the leadership, we have been able to come up. Okay? And these are being assessed internationally. By the way, when we say high impact research, it simply means that the research that can produce journal papers in the tier 1 category. That's what we mean. So when you are given a research grant to do research under the high impact research budget, you are given KPIs. I'm giving you 2 million, you must produce 10 ISI tier 1 papers. This is what it means. The targets are not, any paper, any seminar paper, book, no. Tier 1 ISI journal paper from your research. That is the criteria. So if you ask me what is the definition of high impact research, when we formulated it, we say, when you get the grant, you must agree to sign a contract with us. For 2 million, we ask you to publish 10 tier 1 ISI journal. That is what it means. Okay, tier 1. Okay. We don't count tier 3, tier 4. Tier 2, some is okay. But if you are tier 1, you are safe. Alright? This is just talking about Stanford University, where, of course, in their case, they already have $20 billion endowment. The endowment can actually save them from many things, and they already have fantastic academics and so on. So just to show you. Okay, so because of the high impact research budget, we're able to create. You see, if we want to test some, if we are doing genome research, we want to do some DNA testing. Before we get the high impact research budget, we have to send the specimen to London, to Japan, Korea, and so on, and we have to wait for 3 months before the result come back. When we have these facilities, we can get it within 2 days. So this explains why, if you are in Harvard, you will be you will be doing research and publishing papers, state of the art, right? But if you don't have this facility, you wait for 3 months for your result to come back. Get the idea? Why this so hard unless you have the facility? So UM now has a facility whereby if you want to do some of this DNA or whatever, within 2 days you get the result. And they become central facilities in UM. So that is the difference between the research being done in the 1950s to the research today in UM. Okay, so I hope this makes it clear. The bite spark I've already explained. Okay, these are some of the key areas where we have the Nobel laureates working with us in the area of medical research, chemistry, physics, economics, and so on. And these are the PhD program where we do dual program. That means they can be registered here in Sydney University, and they can get 2 scrolls for their PhD. We even have this, supported by the high impact research budget. And the number of international collaboration grew, okay, with Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford, and so on. The number of collaboration grew by so many %. Okay. And these are linkages with other academic centers. The bold means a lot, the thin one is few. And you can see some of the bold one, University of Sydney, Kyoto, Nanjing, California, Davis, and so on. So all over, our staff is able to do much, much more. And in terms of impact, we have areas, this is for UM, so areas in computer science, in engineering, in medicine, we are ahead of all the other research universities in Malaysia. We lead, okay? And then these are, in terms of field-weighted citation impact of all the journal categories, we are higher than average in 14 of the 27 categories. Okay? Again, this is only possible with the high impact research budget. And in terms of international patents, is higher than the average. The national average is 0.65, is 0.7 patents. Okay. Now I want to talk about engineering. Whether we accept it or not, but it is ranked and is rated and is the most recent result. What is it? Well, currently the dean is Prof. Aziz. He's a chemical engineer. And I'm trying to answer some of these questions. Why only engineering got this rank but not the other faculties in the University of Malaya yet? Okay. But by the way, if it is based on QS ranking, what is the next faculty after engineering? Which one you think?
Economics.
No,
Chemistry, science,
all behind. You'll be surprised to know which is the next one. Guess. And you'll never believe again this one. No. I talk about faculty. Huh? Sorry?
medical faculty,
No. You'll be surprised. Faculty of Education. That's why, right? You don't believe it, right? Faculty of Education. After that, Economics. But now IT faculty is coming up strongly also. But currently, this is what it is, based on QS. Okay, the global best global universities ranked under US News. Again, as I say, they don't ask data from us; they look for their own data, and we were surprised to find that actually the faculty of engineering in is ranked number 10 in the world by the US News ranking. Okay, the best is Tsinghua, Faculty of Engineering. You know. Second is NUS, third is MIT, NTU, and so on and so on. Your comment, please. You believe this or you don't believe this? Is this fraudulent data or what? Again, they didn't ask for data. And I asked somebody from US recently about US News. They say, yeah, this one in US, people know about it. And they have some kind of magazine where guide to choosing universities, and the US News is being widely used by people who want to choose universities. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, I think we can believe this because I think this ranking is based on the research output, basically, almost majority of this. And then faculty of engineering has gone like rocket the last 6 years.
Yeah. So it is believable, but I see in the ranking criteria, they even have how many books was published, you know. It's interesting that they have such a criteria in this. And I think there are 15 criteria altogether, something like that. But I'm just sharing the news that this has just come 2 weeks ago, and good news that without us knowing that the Faculty of Engineering, is ranked the top 10, but by the way, in QS ranking, it is also the best under the QS ranking anyway. And I will show you the result for the QS ranking, which is this. According to the QS ranking, the best discipline in is electrical engineering. It's number 23 in the world. And for mechanical, it's number 33. For chemical, it's 38. For civil structure, is between 50 to 100. Okay? And overall, 35. Overall, 35 in the QS ranking in the world. Believe it or don't believe it, this is what comes out. Okay? And yet, we may think, oh, we have Faculty of Medicine lah, we have Faculty of Science lah, we have that fantastic professor lah, but they are not. If I'm not mistaken, the Faculty of Medicine is 200 something, based on QS, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, after the Faculty of Engineering is IT faculty, if I'm not mistaken, 100 something. if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so what's your comment, sir? So when you see things like this coming out, you just don't believe, right? Hey, you see, 35. What about, yes, sir?
Just offer my opinion.
Yeah.
I think, speaking as an engineer myself, we tend to do our work very quietly.
Sure.
Without
Oh, I see, okay.
And this sometimes contributes to the incredulity when such rankings come about. Because we are not very visible. You know, we are only visible when something fails.
Engineers tend to do more than talk. Very good explanation, yes, because the one that's normally doing the talking is the faculty of arts, right? That's their job, I guess. Okay, but anyway, this is a fact that has come out. So I think Malaysia has something to show the world lah. But by the way, this thing has caused the faculty engineering to be a faculty where there are a lot more visitors now. There are a lot more foreign companies who want to give money because of this. Now, this is a fact. You can visit the faculty engineering and you can see how many labs is sponsored by foreign companies. From China lah, from Korea lah, and Japan lah, and so on. Which is good, isn't it? At the end of the day, this is a net injection or investment into the faculty. Yes, sir?
Professor, I was at the University of Manchester and I noticed that
even Manchester, UM beat.
The government is pouring a lot of money into graphene research there. Are there specific examples of such things happening in Malaysia?
Okay, there are groups that are very interested in graphene, yes. But the only problem, I think now in Malaysia, generally, the research budget has been cut across the board, even though in the recent budget has been increased again. But if UM wants to continue to do this, I think fresh new budget must be pumped in. Because, look, NUS research budget annually is 400 million Singapore dollars. NUS. That's about 1.2 billion, right? Every year. What was given is just 590 million for 5 years. How do you compare this? And yet, is able to do this. This is really good value for money, don't you think so? 400 million is the annual research budget of NUS. Doctor, what do you think?
It's very luxurious.
Luxurious. Whereas engineering, I think the figures is here. What they have got from the high research, high impact budget is only 116 million over 5 years. And that budget has enabled them to shoot up globally. So actually, which faculty, if you have money, you will give first? No doubt it's engineering faculty, right? With a smaller budget, but they are able to produce more effective results, right? So I think engineering professors are really giving best value of money, right? Definitely. And it is something that we can be proud of. But I want to go back. Okay. So again, by the way, sir, now is beginning to participate in the Times Higher Education. And I think in last year's Time Higher Education ranking, was still the best in Malaysia. And that was number 200 something, I think, last year. has been forced, even though according to our original plan, we are only going to start participating in 2020. But participated and it was 200 something anyway, right? In Shanghai, Jiaotong was 400 something, I think. Those are much more, they look more into what is the research budget and so on lah. But how can you compare with engineering faculty, for example, getting just 100 million over 5 years? And so these are the news that came out, 8 nations among most highly cited lah. Okay, and these two photos are the two professors from Professor Masjuki Hassan and Professor Muhammad Abul Kalam. the highly cited researcher in currently lah. Any comments on this? Any comments on this? Again, as I said, the highly cited researcher status is produced by Thomson Reuters, not by the Malaysian government. So currently, actually, in total there are 10 lah, including Prof. Saidor here, who is now in the in Sunway University. All right. These are the highly cited researchers by definition top 1% globally that has produced. Prof. Saidor, Prof. Abul Kalam, Prof. Masjuki, and this gentleman, Prof. Indra Mahlia, was from Indonesia, but who is in Uni 10 now. Interesting, isn't it? And surprisingly, it's all from engineering faculty. The engineers has done well. And surprisingly, if I'm not mistaken, all from mechanical engineering. Is that correct, Prof?
Yes.
All from mechanical. There's something about mechanical engineering that we have not discovered, isn't it?
Same group.
Same group. So again, all from mechanical, all from engineering faculty, and 4. And these are the people who has made the name for the University of Malaya. Not from medicine, not from science, not from dentistry, not from economics, no. Okay. Sorry? It's good research, I think, yeah. Now, I put these faces for a reason. These are the currently, this is the engineering dean, and the one before that is this gentleman, and that gentleman. I explained to you what's so special about these people. But first of all, these are their research record. This gentleman, Prof. Hamdi, age index of 23. That's quite high. And with 1,700 citation. This gentleman, 14 and 776 citation. This Prof. Azwan, 19 and 1225. These are all quite high figures, relative. And this gentleman has the highest, the new dean, 23 age index and 2,370 citation. When I became the Vice Chancellor, I appointed him to be the Dean of Engineering. But by the way, after I came in, I instituted a way of appointing deans, which is by voting. And somehow, in the faculty engineering, the best leader is still voted to be the dean. Anyway. So even though I changed the system, still the best becomes the dean. And somehow the faculty engineering knows that they have to appoint the deans from those who are very excellent in their research anyway. These are all people excellent in their research. You agree, Prof? Yeah. So, you must appoint deans or leaders who are very excellent or outstanding in their research. Secondly, you must appoint them who are leaders, who has got guts, who is willing to fight the Vice Chancellor if they don't agree. You need characters like that. And believe it or not, you'll be surprised. Okay, this is the current dean, right? All these 3 gentlemen became deputy vice chancellors. They all became deputy vice chancellors. Currently, this gentleman has gone to the University of Malaysia Terengganu to be the deputy vice chancellor there. This gentleman has gone on sabbatical, took a leave. But I won't be surprised one day if he becomes the vice chancellor. I won't be surprised. He's Japanese trained. He came from Kyoto University, I think. He comes from Southampton. I forgot where he comes from as well, But these are, with this kind of credentials, that means research-wise, no question. Okay, but these are people who understand the vision to go up in ranking, people who understand that they must do high-impact research, they must publish in top journal, they must supervise lots of PhD students. These people understood that, and they push everyone to be thinking that way also. So, you see, If you have a dean who don't really believe in that, or then the vice chancellor will have a problem. But these people, you don't have to tell them, they are pushing their staff to do it. That's the reason. And these people can go any of the good universities, they can become professors themselves there. No question about it also. Okay? And in the engineering faculty, currently 96% of the academic staff has a PhD. I think this is among the highest in the university now. But you will be surprised. Do you know which faculty has the 100% of the staff has got PhD? You know which faculty? I'd like you to guess. This is another guess where you will not believe. No. Huh? No. Islamic studies. You are very brilliant, ma'am. You guess it right. The faculty or the academic in Islam, the faculty of Islam is among those who are very difficult to change because they say our journals are in Arabic and so on. But they are the one with 100% PhD now. Imagine, okay? Which means people can change for the better. They are now all talking, hey, how many ISI can I publish this year? So these are the so-called ustads who can publish papers. Right, Anna? Ustad who can publish in the Oxford Journal, what kind of ustad is this? Must be very intellectual, right? It is not just, these are people who, when they come and give the lecture, they are talking from research they do. These are people who has maybe 10, in fact, the highest number of professor with the highest number of PhD students, you know from where now? There is one professor who is supervising 30 PhD students in one go. Superhuman. And where is that professor from now? Can you guess? No, he's a Malaysian. From which faculty is he? Somehow you like economics so much, but I'm sorry to disappoint you, he's not. The professor with PhD students concurrently being supervised is a professor from the Faculty of Islamic Studies.
He's Malaysian?
Malaysian. Very nice man. Very nice man. He will always smile at you. But I don't know when he can supervise the student, right? And not only that, he is an imam of a mosque in KL. He's like the chairman and he's always asked to that one. But this guy has a lot of publication, 30 PhD students. This is a new way of thinking, right? Very intellectual and so on, not just anybody from anywhere. So you want to ask something, sir? Yeah.
Having been academic for many years, I find that this is a far-fetched thing because it is impossible with your teaching, with your own research, to supervise 30 students. I think that there must be something, they don't allow you to supervise more than 4.
Okay, I note your point, but the Faculty of Islamic Studies in a way is a young faculty. They are a faculty whereby you need people who are capable of supervising many because there's been a lot of interest to come and do PhD in Islamic Studies in UM. And a lot of the academics there are getting a lot of PhD students. And somehow this guy has the capacity to supervise many people, So these are some of the factors that that has been very positive for the Faculty of Islamic Studies.
Students local or foreign?
Oh, most of it is, large sizable number are foreign students, this Faculty of Islamic Studies. Yeah.
So probably there's a relationship there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes, sir, you want to ask something? You're not happy with something?
No. having been in the system for
Yeah.
many years,
Yeah.
I think that I find it far-fetched.
What you're hearing lah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't think anybody can supervise the students. I think the university should, for quality, to maintain quality, should not allow an academic to supervise more than 4 students or 5 students or more.
Okay. To answer your question, sir, just listen to this particular thing. We have a certain criteria now for anybody to get a PhD in UM. If it is a science-based faculty, the student must have published 2 ISI journal papers. For the social science like pengajian Islam, it must be at least 1. That is a requirement. In the past, no such requirement. In the past, you don't even have any publication, it's still okay. But now, let's say somebody in chemistry, he wants to submit thesis, where is your 2 ISI papers first? Then only you submit. This is to make sure that they have reached a certain standard, right? This is the requirement now. Never before before I came into the UM system, there was no such requirement. Last time they can even publish in seminar, colloquium, but now it's ISI. You see the difference? So far as I know from this professor, his success rate is 100%. The PhD candidates under him are passing. So you know, this is not just a loose general production now. No, they even have to meet this before they submit. Yes, if people hear 30, how can they do it? And I don't know, maybe they have to go to the mosque and meet him there to get some guidance. And which is true. He told me, sometime after the prayer, they will meet him and sit and get guidance. And by the way, we have a requirement in University of Malaya that there must be 2 external examiners, not from within the system. So these are the quality control mechanism that we have put in place. So in a way, I think good. I mean, if we get all the Islamic studies faculties like this, I think we create products which is more open mind, which is more open to knowledge, and so on and so on. This is what we want anyway, and this is a function of the university anyway. And not only that, these are people who believe, yes, we must publish in ISI journals. These are ustads who believe in that. You get what I mean? Yes, ma'am.
I spent 25 years in NUS and saw the transformation to a research-led university. Come back to Malaysia. I also joined UM when you were the Vice Chancellor for 1 year. I could see the good you have done in the university. I'd like to move forward. What about Sunway as a private university?
Okay, Sunway. Is Jeffrey Chia here?
Because if you talk about beefing up the money.
Okay. My comment is like this. It is very clear that Sunway has set their mind to go up in the ranking. No doubt about it. To go up in the ranking, as I have just presented in so many slides, you must have money. 1. You must have academic champions in your system. Or if they are not champion yet, you must train up to become champion quickly. Those who haven't done their PhD lah, like my student Phoebe. All this you have to do and push. You know what I mean? But what is important in all this is you must actually have that set KPI, set vision to push everybody towards the same goal. And then you can achieve this. And then you see your ranking graph will go up. But you must provide the money. The university cannot give excuse, no, we don't have money. Then you won't do it. Then you are it's just hype or aspiration. Nothing more.
So,
Yeah.
as you are in the board, can you influence the board to do that?
I'm always giving pressure to the Vice Chancellor. Because, you know, actually, some of these issues are not so easily addressed. Some of these issues, the board members are still just coming to understanding it. These are the reality. If you want to do this, you want to do that. You can put up whatever show you want, but at the end of the day, there are specific measures if you want to go up in the ranking. You know, I mean, you can claim this, you can claim that, like some of the private universities are doing, right? The best innovative lah, this lah, and so on. But what's your measure? But when it comes to ranking, they have specific criteria, and it's what we have got. So to answer your question, Prof, quite sincerely, it will be some time before somebody gets to it. And they have to have the right ingredient to achieve it, especially money. You must put in money if you want to achieve the result. You know, and I will say this anyway. Okay?
Can I ask you one more?
Yes, sure.
I've just been reading a book by Stephen Colini, who wrote a book on what are universities for.
Okay.
Now he's come up with another book, Creating Universities. I think that I see your whole passion for ranking universities. And what Kunoli says, interestingly points out that ranking is not the issue. It is to create world-class universities. When you create world-class universities, automatically you will be also ranked well. You go to Harvard, you go to Stanford, Berkeley, most of the universities I've been fortunate to go to. The thing is that they are not interested, of course, you might say that they are interested in ranking, but what are they interested in is pushing excellence. Pushing excellence by excellence. You take NUS, for example. They are pushing for ranking and also for excellence. I told the Vice Chancellor, Prof, you can't be a Harvard, you can't be a Oxford, you can't be a Cambridge. You can be a high-ranked university eventually. Of course, I studied in NUS when he was University of Malaya. That is what you can achieve. You can achieve ranking. That is not the issue. The issue is that whether you can be a center of excellence, intellectual development and other things, which automatically will push up all these things that you say. That is what higher education is all about. If you push excellence, you will have innovation, you will have economic growth, you will have everything. Is it?
Sir, Cambridge has been around for 800 years. Harvard has been around for 150 years or something like that.
No. Harvard
Sorry?
is quite,
50?
350.
350 years.
Yes, of course.
So they have developed in a very liberal system where there are lots of opportunities.
Can I interrupt you once, sir?
Yeah, please.
That is because they continue to keep high quality standards.
Sure.
They push excellence all the time.
Yeah.
You take John Hopkins, the history of John Hopkins is just that they wanted to create a center of excellence and they continue to push up excellence. You take Princeton, you take Yale. What is the Yale Singapore liberal studies
program
college that they have created? What's it for? It is not. It is to create excellence, develop people. That is what is important.
Yeah. No, what you say is perfectly correct.
Yeah.
But what I went there for was to accelerate the whole process. They had spent 4 centuries or 8 centuries. I'm trying to do it in just about 5 years. You know, so you push everything together to move up.
When you first had the meeting in the hotel in PJ Hilton, I was there. You can only do that, Prof, by pushing excellence.
Yeah, sure. That's why those criteria we put also is a sub-measure excellence anyway. But the difference is that those universities had about 4 centuries of time and so on. But here we are trying to do it in about 5 years. You know? And hopefully after this people will continue with it, cramming everything together. So actually people are already pressured lah at the moment lah, you know. But underlying all this is all about excellence anyway. We will not be talking of excellence if we tell our staff, I think you can publish your papers in a seminar, not necessarily in journal. Then we are not promoting the correct direction, isn't it? No? Okay, let me just, there are 3 more slides. So. Total number of students postgraduate in the Faculty of Engineering, I'm just talking about now, is 1,198. Undergraduates 1,699. So you see now the proportion of postgraduates is much higher. Overall in the University of Malaya, there are 12,000 postgraduate students out of 27,000. Huge, isn't it? During the time of the second, third, fourth Vice Chancellor, the number of students only about 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. And the number of postgraduates is very, very small. But now, in the whole of University of Malaya, is about 12,000 postgraduate students. Okay. Okay, this is for the Faculty of Engineering, and the publication increased 191%. The citation increased 634%. International collaborators increased by 171%. So all this is APEX, Accelerated Program for Excellence, done in about 5 years. And hopefully as we go on, we keep on increasing and going on to the next, like Times and Shanghai Jiaotong. So to summarize what I'm saying, why engineering has been able to create the success, first of all, they have extremely excellent deans who are academically excellent. Anyway, they are able to translate what the Vice Chancellor wants, and they are able to push the vision through the faculty. In the Faculty of Engineering, if you go there, everybody will be talking about ISI paper, how many PhD students and so on. That's their language. Okay, now, of course, reset the vision, mission, and priorities, the KPIs, source special budgets, and create new income sources. Actually, the most worrying thing for me now is this, budget. Because, as you know, the public university budget has been cut. When UM applied for high impact research budget second series, they didn't get it, or maybe the government is still considering, I don't know. I'm very worried because the progress may be stunted. So the issue now really, how is UM going to solve the current problem, the current challenge, to get more money? Do you have any solution, Prof? How to solve this? Yeah.
I had a long chat with Professor K.J. Ratnam, you know, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research and Development of US for 10 years. He told me it's not the budget which is important. It is the quality of academic staff and researchers in the university that's important.
But Prof, what is certain now is that UM's operating budget has been cut by 47%, you know.
But you have, I looked at the figures recently. For one academic staff, you have 1.6 non-academic staff, USF. In University of Malaya, you have 1.57 academic staff. When I was in the university, the ratio was 1 to 0.7 or something. You see, you have double your non-academic staff by more than 100%. You see, what, I don't know, we had...
I will answer you, sir. If we make the ratio of academic to non-academic 1:1, which I think will be a good ratio, right? You know how much saving will be for UM? What do you think?
I'm not sure. But
You will cut about 40 million.
fantastic.
Only?
Oh, only 40 million.
Yeah. The UM budget before this was 600 million. You know what I mean? And the research budget that UM needs is, the high impact research budget is 1 billion. So, yes, you cut and make the ratio 1:1, it's only 40 million saving at most. You may save a lot more if you try to reduce the electricity bill. Because the electricity bill of UM comes about 3 million a month. You know? You know what I mean? Which is about 40 million a year. So actually, even if you cut that, it's not really significant, you know, because at the end of the day, for all this to keep going up, you need to give UM the next 600 million to continue all the research work. to continue to bring in Nobel laureates and so on and so on. 40 million is a good contribution, but it's not enough. Knowing actually now, before the cuts of 2 years ago, it was operating on 600 million, now it's operating on 300 million, about half. UM is operating half of that budget already,
But the government has said, use your savings to...
Very good, very good. Do you think UM should do that?
No.
Do you think UM should do that?
I don't think so.
Look, let me put the facts straight about the UM's endowment or saving. This has been accumulated in the last 40 years. From various sources, various gifts and so on. And those money has been given to UM with specific mandate. They cannot simply use it. For example, engineering has a special endowment given to it by a Singapore company maybe 30 over years ago. They say this money can only be used to replace old equipment or to build an engineering building only, nothing more. You have to respect that mandate. Even though the money in that is a few hundred million, but you cannot suddenly take it and give it to other faculties because the original donor say use it only for this purpose. So there's a lot of money in that, but you can't touch it unless engineering wants to replace an old lab. Fine. You get what I mean or not? So you may hear that UM has a lot of money, but you can't touch them. So if you cannot touch a significant proportion of that money, your budget is already cut. So you're struggling. You get what I mean or not? So don't think, oh, I heard UM got a lot of money. No, you can't touch them. I would say 70 to 80% of the money in the endowment cannot be touched. And that 30% that you want to touch already being used. That is free to be used. Already has been used. So you see how difficult the Vice Chancellor is now? You can't even touch that money that you think you have a lot of money. The annual money that comes in has been cut about 50%. So how? What's the solution? You ask for the high impact research budget number 2, nothing yet. How do you solve the problem? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, go on applying. Yes, of course, you go on. Sir, what is the solution? Can anybody help to solve this?
University of Malaya is also pushing for technology commercialization, providing medical services. How much does that help in terms of buffering the shortage that they are getting from the government?
Okay, very good question, and I will answer it sincerely and honestly. But by picking example from NUS. NUS gets $400 million per year, right, for research budget. You know how much money they get from commercialization, patents and so on? Can you all guess or not? NUS, you know, one of the top performing in the world, the number 1 in Asia and so on. What do you think is their annual revenue from patents and so on? Can you guess? No, less than that. Sorry? Wrong. NUS, remember? These are all hardworking people, people who work for perfection. From 400 million, how much are they making? Sorry? Cannot be so little lah. 10 million, sir. Ma'am. 10 million Singapore dollars a year. How? From 400 million, only 10 million a year.
See, as I said, you see, there are a lot of world-class universities. And NUS and NTU are world-class universities, there's no doubt about it. But the thing is this, the top corporations have got a big choice. They don't have to go to NUS, they don't have to go to NTU, but they can go to many other top universities, Harvard, for example. Though Harvard has an endowment of 39 billion.
Yes, the biggest in the world. The biggest. The biggest in the world.
Yeah, I saw the figure last night. You got 39 billion. Stanford has only got 20 billion, the second. So, you know, the thing is that in spite of that, they get a lot of money.
Okay, very good point. Just do this thing. How much income from all these patents that Harvard does compared to the amount of money they put for research? It is a small amount. Again, it is a small amount. So a lot of people has this fancy idea, hey, why don't we commercialize, make money and so on. You make more money by planting pineapple, by the way. Honestly. You make more money, maybe you start planting musang king. just work out. I think the Harvard, Harvard or what? Yeah, Harvard research budget is about 2 billion a year. How much money they get from selling all their patents and so on? Even though they register like 20,000 patents, how much money do they get? So this is the truth. This is putting things in perspective. You know? So if you say the solution is to get all the academic commercialize their research and so on, no. It's not going to solve. It's not going to solve. One. And sometimes they make a lot of money once in a while. Maybe in every 10 years, one case, they were able to sell one particular patent or whatever. Like I think, you know, our plastic money, that one, that was I think from Melbourne, I think. Melbourne or New South Wales, I can't remember. The professor there from chemistry, I think, created that one. That one they get a lot. But that was once after 20 years.
Invest in landed property.
Landed property?
Investment.
Sir, actually, yes, correct. One way forward for Sunway is all the extra money, go and buy land here and so on and keep it. That is why, for example, Harvard University or MIT has 30,000 acres of land in Romania, you know. They own 100,000 acres in Africa. Do you know that? Hey, if I tell you this, say, hey, why did they buy land in Africa? But that's their asset. You are right. Buy property. Cambridge University, Trinity College, I think, they have 17,000 acres of land bank.
It's the richest college.
You see? Yes, you have to go back to some of these assets, you know, to make your money in the long term. Or maybe we get some rich people to give Sunway, 200 acres lah, somewhere in some jungle. Keep it for a while lah. You never know that 200 may become 200 million in about 30 years. It has to be like that, you know. But thinking that this patent will produce so many billion, not every year. Once in a blue moon, yes. So you all be wondering, how? How do we solve this problem in UM now? Anybody? Sorry?
They have a lot of land in UM.
Who? UM. Is that correct or not? UM has got a lot of land. Let's ask that question and answer it.
We have 658 acres, 658 acres, the whole compound.
No, okay, I give you the facts. UPM has got more acreage than UM. UKM has got bigger acreage. UM has in total
658.
No, about 2,000 acres in total.
No, that is because of Johor land.
Wait, yes. In Johor, there is a 1,000 acre oil palm plantation. The campus here is about 900 acres. Those are the biggest lah. The rest all small thing. Okay, that's what UM has. But by my reckoning, UM should have about 20,000 acres somewhere, kan? Actually, UM, if they are smart, you know what they should do? They should ask 20 professors go and meet the Menteri Besar, Kota Menteri, and then ask for free land. And create a land bank. Right, Anna? That's one way to solve this problem, actually. Somebody mentioned about what? Medicine or something that made money from there. No. UM doesn't make much. The one who make much is the specialist in the hospital. The specialist in the hospital may be earning 300,000 a month. You know that? Yes, don't be surprised. Why? Because you are desperately ill and you want to get your problem done. Okay, come, pay 50,000 lah. He gives UM a bit, but they keep the rest. In its private hospital, UM has a private wing, which is called the University of Malaya Specialist Center, UMSC. The doctors make a lot of money. Okay? But the UM makes some profit, but not enough to save UM lah.
By twinning.
Sorry?
Twinning.
With whom?
With another university overseas.
Interestingly, you think it's a viable idea?
No.
No. My answer is yes. Yes. Soon, when I was Vice Chancellor, I created a private university in the UM. It is called the International University of Malaya Wales. Have you heard it?
Yes.
Okay? Near Bank Negara, correct. In 2019-2020, it will be the biggest income earner for UM. The private entity that makes the biggest income will be this. And to achieve that, they only need about 5,000 students. And it will be generating like 30 to 40 million net profit a year. The plantation will not make that much money. So that International University of Malaya Wales, they just have to keep increasing bit by bit by bit, and the return is big. And you must be wondering why. In a lot of the private university now, they have 15,000 students, also they are still loss making. Why? Why? Huh? Simple. The International University of Malaya Wales is only renting space. It doesn't build a very expensive campus. Those universities, those private universities that has built a 500 million campus, loss making. And to recover takes many years. But the International University of Malaya Wales, UM got plenty of buildings. Okay, use the one outside our campus. Rent it at commercial rate. Very cheap. And that's why just with a small number of students, it can make huge profit. International University of Malaya Wales. You're correct, sir. So that is a JV between the University of Wales UK and the University of Malaya. And the students who graduate from there will get 2 scrolls. The International University of Malaya Wales scroll and the University of Wales scroll. Yes. But I come back to that last question, how do we solve UM's problem? And then we close this.
You have a convention hall in UM. You can rent out to...
Oh God, please. I'll sweat lah. You know, you rent out after 5 events, the repair cost is a lot more. You see about 20 chairs broken, you see the toilet all stuck. The cost of and each time they rent, they just pay 2,000. The cost of repair may be much more, you know. And this is just too tiring lah. Please, no one should come and tell me, hey, maybe we ask the professors to conduct more seminars, please. They want to do their online business lah, they want to do PhD. No. All that will tire the professor. And if I am an academic staff and you ask me to make more seminar, I think you take my resignation letter lah. Let me go and do something else lah. Don't waste my time. So, anybody has got any solution to the problem in UM?
Partnership with industries.
To do what, Dato'?
Well, probably research.
Okay. Yeah. Very good point. Some of the faculty are doing that, especially engineering. They have a lot of industrial partners. But somehow in Malaysia, unlike in the US, the funding you get for some partnership, you can take 30% for salary of staff. In Malaysia, not allowed. You know that?
Not allowed.
That's the format everywhere. They think, you already paid by the government. This money is to buy this equipment to get that postgraduate student, that's it. But nothing for your own pocket. That is in Malaysia. But in the US, it's different. That's why in US, they used to have professors whereby they are only a 9-month salary per year. The other 3 months is from this source. That could be helpful, but it's not in the Malaysian case. So come back to this difficult problem, how to solve. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Last time you shared some of the things from Harvard. They are run and supported by alumni. I don't know what is the situation in Malaysia, how they can support.
I found out that actually the alumni is among the most stingiest in the world. Whenever you approach them, they say, I still have 3 children in the college.
One example in Singapore, my ex-dean, he was an oncologist. So before the patient died, he will make them bequeath a lot of the of their will, their property to NUS.
That's why they finally died.
And the Singapore government pay 1:1.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But
Back to back, yeah.
Malaysia doesn't do that.
Yeah. Somehow, when it comes to Malaysia and so on, people are not so philanthropic lah. Actually, if there is an index called philanthropicity or whatever, actually the most philanthropic in the world is US, you know. Not Malaysia. Malaysia very stingy. Has produced several billionaires, I know. They even get prominent roles in like being in a board lah, advisor. You ask them some money and see, they won't give. They won't give. What is wrong? Huh? They won't give. I know our billionaire. They don't give. And on record, the one who gives the most money is somebody who is not related to But that one also is after 50 years now. How?
But the American foundations give a lot of money.
Of course, US is different. They can do fundraising. At the end of the fundraising, they raise $200 million. But Malaysia, when you start doing all these appealing people, sending out letters, actually the stamp cost is more than what you get finally, you know.
Prof.
Yes.
That's one question I was asking.
But you haven't answered my questions.
I can't answer this question. You see, when you run university, we have shifted our university. I remember academics ran the university. Now the academics don't run the university. It's all run by managers who don't have the core philosophy of what a university is all about. This is a major problem we have. And this is not something which is only Malaysian. You look at even the UK universities. They are all being run by people who are managerial. It's become managerial universities. There are no more academically run universities, which was the sort of culture in which we grew as universities.
Prof, you see a lot of the board of governors of universities worry about one thing. If you allow the best professor to run the university, all the money will run out. I mean, there's a lot of worry. That is why we see a lot of universities, for example, in Japan, they have 2 bosses. One is the vice chancellor who runs the academic part. Then there is a CEO which looks after the financial and so on. Because it seems to them that not all academics can do a good job of making money in the university. And yet, you know, in the US, the number 1 job of the president is to go and raise money in the US. And it seems now that the situation in Malaysia has become like that the number 1 job of the vice chancellor is to look for money, because you can keep on crying and asking the government for money, but if the government doesn't have money, we cannot wait. Are you going to let all this crumble? Definitely not. So you must find people who can go out and find money, right?
I think you answered the solution for your question.
What's that?
See, UNTJ KL is sitting on prime land. We have a housing issue. Built for rent houses. Okay, and the faculties one by one Move them out to rented assets because there's oversupply of commercial property. People are willing to give you long-term lease. What they need is a place to do their work, that's all. It doesn't need to be UM campus. Slowly, lease out your land. Don't sell, but lease it out.
Yes, let me just say this. The ROI is very long. Actually, on this building commercial complex and so on.
Let somebody else build it.
Sure. By letting somebody else to do it, in fact, some of the terms that some of these companies want is like, oh, so many acres, we'll do it free for you. The other acres, we must have it for 99 years. And when you think about it, how much money can we get this piece? They will build it free for us about 10 acres. They want the 5 acres. But in the 5 acres, they will cram huge tall condominiums. But at the end, when we calculate how much we can make from what they want to build free for us, very small amount. It's not worth it. One. Secondly, the campus will come up in sorts if you say you lease it out for 99 years. They will never agree.
That's why you move
very sensitive. You cannot.
You move them out first, to rental premises. Save your money.
You see, sir, the problem is, if UM doesn't get back its budget in the next 2 years, it is all over. The ROI by creating a commercial complex all that is about nearly 10 years. That is if it is being run very well. If it is not run very well, it will be even longer. So the debt burden will increase.
What is the Chulalongkorn model?
Yeah. Chulalongkorn is a very excellent example because their politician and the university president understood this about 40 years ago. They did this long time ago. And Mahidol was a very excellent example because they built about 7 private hospitals 40 years ago. That now even sub-bond members think that no, I think we just wait for our money. Some even think like that. Some still think because the job of supporting a public university is the government, they think. Some of them hasn't come to the reality that, hey, we better do something. And a lot of the public university, I think they have not really addressed whose job is it to go out and get money? By hook, by crook. This question has not really been answered, I think. You get what I mean? So you see the problem? So yes, we have done a lot of things, we have achieved a lot of things, but I'm not so sure how far it will go unless suddenly things, the budget is brought back to what it was about 3 years ago. But more importantly, to solve the current crisis, you cannot go by the normal solutions anymore, to be honest with you. No way. You need some extraordinary solution, and that will be my seminar next year. Not for today. I finished all my slides. Yeah. Next year I will talk about that. And I choose to do it next year because then I'll be speaking from facts more than my guesses. Okay? Any more question, anybody? Yes, ma'am, you want to ask something?
I think you need a CEO for UM.
CEO? They have.
You need somebody who will run it like a CEO.
There is. Under UM Holding, there is. But I think the whole problem is so insurmountable that I think he has lost appetite already. Not because he cannot do the business, but because he realized the problems. Not so easy to get anything done. Yes. The biggest challenge for anybody who wants to run a public university like UM is how you can move the board and convince them to believe in you and support you. Very often, most of the vice chancellor will end up saying, "Oh yes sir, yes Dato, okay, Tan Sri, okay, setuju. That's all." If you don't want to have trouble, you just say, "Yes, okay sir, I agree." Rather than you go there and I want to do this, and then you're in serious trouble so fast. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to everybody.